Hello guys and welcome to another league race. It is that time of the season again. It's the Monaco Grand Prix in AOR PC Split 1 round 6 of season 12 of AOR. Yeah, that's what it is. And now we are out on track already for the Monaco Grand Prix. Touching the wall a little bit in qualifying, which isn't a particularly great start. Kinda not what you want to do around Monaco, touching the walls. And as you can see, completely messing up this particular effort, but we're about to start another run as well. Tire wear, not too big an issue around Monaco, so we can do a few laps on each set in qualifying if you feel like it. And of course, qualifying around Monaco, as important as it ever will be on any Formula 1 track, because it's so difficult to overtake, as we all know, which is why the starting position, even more so than usual, will very much determine success or failure in the race. And as you can see, I'm currently only 11th in the session going into this particular lap, but I am up on my previous effort at the moment. Was 4 tenths going into the hairpin, 5 tenths now coming out of it, or teetering between 4 and 5 tenths up, and going a bit faster on that corner as well, so we are closer to 6 tenths up now as we go through the tunnel midway through the lap. Crucial to now try and nail the braking point, braking maybe a tiny bit earlier there, a little bit cautious. Getting close to the wall on the exit there, and trying to use as much as the track as we can. Through to back as well, one of the most awesome corners to drive through, I have to say. And then the left-right chicane and the right-left chicane of the swimming pool section, which is obviously for this season a bit faster on the entry than it's been before. Then through Restcast into the final corner, trying to take a nice little line there, and we did it pretty well. I mean, nearly 9 tenths up on the previous lap with it, so we're going to set a 112.7 to take us P4 in the session at this particular stage, which I was pretty happy with, to be fair. This league has got a lot of really fast wheel users at the top. Most drivers in this league driving with a wheel, so no advantage for me to be had on that front, with obviously wheel being usually the preferred input around Monaco, just because you can be a bit more precise, I guess, with the turning and stuff with the wheel relative to the pad. And as we now slide past the bump out of the swimming pool section, we have actually set a purple first sector on our final attempt in the session, which surprised me a little bit, but a lock up into the hairpin now, and not the best exit as well. And you can see we're already dropping down on the delta, and a big slide through the middle part of the lap. Those two corners there before the tunnel are my absolute nightmare, to be honest. I really couldn't find a rhythm through those two corners compared to the rest of the track. And as you can see, we dropped down to 6th place. At the end, incredibly close times around me as well. You can see I was 3 thousandths ahead of Raven and 18 thousandths ahead of Mini Black. And yeah, it was not as far up as I've qualified occasionally in the past in the Xbox League. Of course, I have had a pretty decent history around here in the AOR leagues previously. In terms of recent history, at least. We have back in Season 6, I was on the podium in the Xbox F1 League. Same in Season 8. Obviously Season 7 we didn't run Monaco for various reasons. And then Season 9 in the F3 League, back when I had to demote myself to a wheel driver only league on Xbox due to the severe differences between wheel and pad on F1 2014. But that's all way in the past. It's going to be very tricky for me to manage a similar result today, considering we have non-runner, Tyranno Seeger, Sebi and Race Fanatic in the top 4, all very quick wheel drivers. But the lights are about to go out now, and we will just see what we can do around Monaco. As the lights are out, and away we flip and go down the short run towards the first corner here. Crucial to not make contact. We're going to try to go on the outside though of Nick B, and nearly making contact with the back of our teammate's car, which wasn't really what I intended, and Nick B has managed to hold on to it. At least I've not dropped any positions, so I've remained in P6, and again getting close to the car ahead. Nick B this time through the casino section. Full focus required for the first lap around Monaco, as we have now been tapped slightly in the back by Mini Black as well. Just really have to be cautious, especially coming straight from qualifying, because in the first lap people just will be going slower than you're kind of used to running your own pace when you're by yourself on the track. But now coming off the corner into the tunnel, the corner that I don't like at all. I have no clue how to get a good exit out of there. As you can see, Nick B and Race Fanatic have just disappeared like 5 car lengths up the road through my poor exit. But luckily Mini Black wasn't able to pounce on my lack of traction through there. Going through to back as well for the first time in the race without shitting my pants, which is a good sign. Same with the chicanes here. Need to try and carry as much speed as possible and get as close to the wall as possible without putting yourself in danger of damage, which can so easily happen with just a slightly too early or too late turn-in on the wheel. None of the fastest lap, he's leading from pole position ahead of Tiran Tigger up there somewhere. And we are just trying to stay on the back of Nick B for now. And of course be wary of Mini Black as well, just behind. Although we have pulled a few car lengths on Mini Black here through the exit of the first corner. We're much closer now to Nick B than we are to being pressured behind, although the indication arrow is still slightly showing up. And now into the chicane on the second lap. We have made a little mistake there, got a warning for exceeding track limits as well, which is fair enough for cutting the corner, obviously unintentional. We did lose time there as well. But yeah, again, just about not enough to put ourselves too much under pressure from Mini Black. A bigger mistake is required to lose a position, which is good for me. As we get very close to the wall on both sides through the final corner there, controlling the slight oversteer pretty well as well. And we did pull quite a substantial gap on Mini Black through that exit. He ended up battling, I think, with both Nuka and Raven back there, which held them up. And now on lap 7 I have a 5-second gap to Nuka, who now is the next car behind me in the 7th place. Nick B still the car ahead, and Race Fanatic, my teammate, has pulled a couple of seconds away from the pair of us, with the top 3 basically flying on in their own noble 299-esque pace. It has to be said, quite untouchable from those 3 up at the front. But that's how it is. I might be good at Monaco, but I'm not an alien at Monaco, unfortunately, and didn't have as much time to practice for this race either as I would have wanted to have. It wasn't until the day before this race that I actually did my first ever laps around here on F1 2016. I've obviously done countless laps there on previous games, but yeah, sometimes when you've not driven it for a while, even the most familiar circuits can be a little bit tricky to get used to again, as we now have a ghost car. That is Berg von Trips, who had a mare on the first lap and ended up disconnecting or leaving the session. That is obviously his AI car driving around a lap down. And now on the next lap we are trying to push hard to get close to Nick B and maybe pressure him into a mistake, or try to get a run for an overtake, getting very close through the final few corners here. I found that I was a little bit faster, I mean, through that particular section, and now we have a potential run with a DRS actually on the front straight. And we will have a look of the inside into turn 1, but we just about didn't manage to get late enough on the brakes, and Nick was able to cover that off on the apex. I was immediately slightly annoyed with myself that I just didn't try to be a bit more daring, just try to be a tiny bit later on the brakes so that he was forced to leave me room on the inside of the corner. But unfortunately that didn't happen, so I'll have to try and be patient for a bit longer and see if we can find another way past. It's gone very wide through the casino section now on lap 13. We have to basically lift mid-corner there to not hit into the back of him, which meant that we unfortunately wasn't able to utilize what could have been an overtaking opportunity. And again, Nick B not quite having the best lap here, as Lol has left the session. Another one bites of dust around Monaco. Now we can just see, here we go, I've been close to Nick around basically the whole lap so far, and I just can't get a good exit out of the corner before the tunnel. It just doesn't make sense to me. It was the same in Time Trial when I was racing people's ghosts. That was like the one place on the track where every single ghost was just consistently pulling away from me. I don't get it. As Nick B has actually felt the need to go slightly defensive now into turn 1 on lap 14, and we are going to be very much in the slipstream going up the hill there, and wasn't able to make any move of that as we nearly underserted the wall at the back now. Later in the lap, as you can see again through the middle part, we have dropped time to Nick B. Can we close it in the final sector? Yes, we can, especially considering he's scraping the wall on the outside of Raskas, and I've decided to be a bit cheeky with a pit strategy now. My original plan was to pit on lap 15 for my one and only stop in the race. It's a pretty easy one-stop around here, it has to be said, because tire wear isn't the worst. So, seeing as I wasn't able to find any way past Nick B, despite the pressure I was putting on him, I decided to try and jump him with the undercut in the pits instead. However, we have a bit of an issue, because Nuka appears out of nowhere on the left-hand side on the outside of turn 1 and has actually gotten ahead of us. And he pitted a couple of laps ago, and I'm pretty sure I noticed that at the time, but I thought he was, you know, a few seconds behind, so I thought, well, I was waiting a couple of laps, and surely he wouldn't have, well, I didn't really feel like he was in a position to be that much of a threat to get past me in the pits. Then we had Canali going in the pits ahead of us as well in the next lap. And there we go, look at the minimap, the car coming out of the pits there. There he is, Nick B, and we have succeeded in jumping Nick B. So we have passed Nick B, however, Nuka is ahead of us, which was not in the plan. So, despite passing Nick B, we are still in net P6 in the race. I think, well, we said we were P7 right now. I think that's because Ryan, my good old co-op teammate, which for some reason that didn't happen anymore, but he is somewhere in front on the track, still not having pitted. So now it's Nuka we'll have to try and find a way past instead of Nick B, and as you can see again we're close to him in the first sector of the lap. Getting a good exit out of this casino section as well, but Nuka's car is basically bang in the middle of the track. There's nowhere for me to go either on the outside or the outside or the inside really there, and especially through the hairpin. There's no way. If you try to go side by side through the hairpin, you will almost certainly force the car on the outside into the wall, just as a result of not being able to turn in enough. And here we go then, lap 19 in the race, still not having found a way through Nuka. Nick B still sitting there just behind, so we're in a bit of a sandwich here, and it's getting quite intense. A little mistake from Nuka in front and I will have a chance to slip through, a little mistake from me and Nick B will have a chance, although I'm trying actually to put my car on the outside through Mirabeau, which was a little bit optimistic. I was worth a try at, I guess, but didn't quite work out. As my engineer keeps talking in my face. Didn't quite hear what he said. Either way, it doesn't really matter. There we go. That was actually one of the better exits I managed to get out of that corner. Probably the best so far in the race, to be honest. Still within a couple of callings of Nuka, so that's a good sign. But not close enough to make an overtaking attempt into the chicane. So yeah, need a bit of a breather, I think. Let's just enjoy this final sector, as I still just try to pile the pressure on Nuka here. And okay, maybe not enjoy the final sector then, because I've actually completely messed up the entry to Rascasp. Just braked a bit too late there. Tapped Nuka in the back. Luckily he was not affected really, but I have lost one of my M plates on the front wing, which is going to hurt a lot through some of these corners, and definitely going to make it even harder. As we now have Ryan there, we've caught up to him. He started on the more durable tires, I think, which is why he's still going without having pitted at this stage of the race. And he now is definitely holding up Nuka, which might play into our hands, but it's obviously forcing me a little bit into Nick B behind as well, as the Ryan nearly losing the back end and he goes into the pits. So that's that over for us. Nuka has a clear road ahead of him again, and the question is now, can I put the same sort of pressure on him as I did before with the damaged front wing? That remains to be seen now as we're heading up the hill on lap 21. We got 17 laps left in the race as we nearly hit the back of Nuka through Casino, trying to force our way on the outside somehow, just trying to find any part of the track where we can get our car ahead, but so far it's not working out. And I still have to continue steering at the back of that Mercedes car, as we're again basically pushing him through the hairpin, and Nick B doing the same just behind as well, getting so close, nearly losing the back end through the shithouse corners there, and not again getting a very good exit on that corner. Nick B is going to be very close behind, and maybe even will be thinking about making a move, but we managed to be quite nicely late on the brakes, which stopped any potential thoughts he had about sticking up the inside. So then we skipped a few more laps further on. We now start off lap 25, and again getting very close and nearly losing the back end as well. And Nick B looked like he was going to have a run. I basically was in the middle of the track, and I had no idea which side to move to there, to be honest. I probably frustrated Nick B a little bit there with my car placement, but yeah, I didn't really. That happened a bit too quickly, really, for me to think about it too much. I'm just glad I managed to save the car from spinning into the wall, to be honest. Let's see how our exit will be this time. Yeah, okay, that's alright. even though Nick B again is going to be close behind in the slipstream down towards the chicane, but you really need to have some of your car alongside before the braking zone there in order to make any sort of move work. But we have dropped a little bit of time to Nick on this lap, and still looking at our slightly broken left end plate on the front wing. But at least we were still able to keep up with Nuka despite that, and closing him in on him quite nicely in the braking zone for us gas despite the slight lockup. Not the best exit out of the front corner though, understeering a little bit, and had to lift more than I wanted before getting back on the throttle. At least we are still within DRS range of Nuka ahead, and are continuing to pull the pressure on, but so far Nuka, well, he's put his foot tiny bits wrong here and there, but not really to any major extent to allow me a chance to pass. So it's a similar story. We're still in the middle of the sandwich. We have to just try and keep being patient, try and avoid hitting the wall, try and pull the pressure on, try and keep Nick B at bay behind as well, and then we will just see what happens. But